Ana Kasparian, the Young Turks host, was going pretty viral during the end of the 2024 campaign and into 2025, doing what I and others have described as like MAGA apologia or downplaying the threat of Trump, cozying up to some prominent MAGA figures in a way that I felt a lot of people did was bolstering the MAGA message as opposed to using it as an opportunity to confront bad ideas. And now she's realizing, after going really viral for a debate she had with her co-host Cenk Uygur, and they're both, nominally on the left, but she kind of talked about how she had detached from those labels for a period of time there. And they had a debate during the 2024 campaign about the word fascist and if it's appropriate to call Trump fascist or not. And so now she's apologizing for downplaying the threat of Trump going into this election, which I found really interesting.
By the way, guys, I was so wrong. I knew Trump was going to be bad. I didn't like, just because, when I hear the word fascist, I think of fascism is a specific ideology. So when Cenk and I got into that debate about whether or not Trump is fascist leading up to the election, there wasn't evidence to suggest that he has or believes in a fascist ideology. But
again, because people turn their ears off a lot whenever when people use that term, and it's like, well, you're saying he's Hitler, then I kind of strayed away from that for a while, and we'll just use authoritarian, and then we'll explain the certain characteristics that are so dangerous. But I wouldn't say there was never any evidence that there was something fascistic about what Trump believed. And obviously, in many contexts, in many debates, etc., I've laid that out. But I wouldn't say no evidence. If you strategically don't like using that word because you think people just immediately think you're calling Trump Hitler, that's one thing. But if you're saying there's no evidence,
a fascist ideology. But what's being carried out right now on the streets of Minnesota, watching these videos of pregnant women, like there's a video, we're going to get to it later in the show today. Pregnant woman gets dragged out of her car. She wasn't even part of any of the anti-ICE demonstrations. She was just trying to get by. She was driving to an appointment or something. I've seen now multiple videos of innocent people who are they're not obstructing, they're not getting involved. They're doing nothing other than standing kind of like away off to the side and filming ICE as they're, raining terror on people. And the ICE agents walk up to them and literally knock them to the ground. American citizens. I'm sorry. I feel guilt every single day that I didn't see this coming. I'm such an idiot. Anyway, let's get back to the show.
If you like this show, I don't know, something about the show reminded me of this. Please do click the subscribe button. I say this with only love. It's just kind of a funny way to plug. If you like that I correctly predicted this, I hate it. But I definitely was not downplaying anything. Click the subscribe button. And that, I think, is good. Is like sort of a good thing for your soul, maybe? I don't know. So listen, I took issue. I remember covering what Ana Kasparian was doing and saying and having a lot of problems with it. And even Cenk in some ways was like, hey, don't worry. Like, not don't worry. He was very post-Trump. I want to be honest to him on that. But like, just some cozying. And it's not that you can't talk to the people. Of course, I've talked to so many Trump supporters and we should see our common humanity. It's just that, especially in public forums, you shouldn't be used as a tool to approve aesthetically of their ideology, which kind of one of Cenk's events he went to gave that energy, as opposed to using it as an opportunity to see if you can demonstrate your ideology powerfully in contrast to theirs. But often people like Ana and Cenk can be used to bolster the MAGA ideology whenever they do some of that cozying up or downplaying. And Ana was doing it particularly, I think, worse than Cenk was, and so she got a lot of backlash for that. But I have to say, despite that being bad and it was really irritating to watch, and I got irritated with the Young Turks in general, it takes character to say, I was wrong, I'm sorry. And she even said she called herself an idiot. Like, that's kind of textbook taking accountability. Because it's more than, hey, so guys, actually now I do think he's as bad as many warned. But obviously there was plenty of reason for me not to believe that, because like that was it gave a little context, but it wasn't like excusing the downplaying. And then she goes, I was completely wrong. I didn't see this coming, and I'm sorry. And that takes character, and I do want to credit her with that. And I think that's what you should do. You know how whenever Sean Ryan gets something wrong, he goes out and records a video of himself in the woods, and he says, you know, it takes a big man to admit when they're wrong, with some big balls. And if you're not a big man with some big balls, then you'll bitch out and you won't admit when you're wrong. But if you're a big man with some big balls, you'll admit when you're wrong. And that's who I am. And so I stand here in front of you today to do something that you only do if you are a high character male. I'm standing here today to do something for you that you only do if you got watermelons down there. And you're like, dude, get to the apology. Why are you crediting yourself so much with how brave you are for admitting you're wrong? Admit it. Just admit it. Okay. But that preface is true. It does take more character to admit when you're wrong. And a lot of people choose not to do it. And they take the easy way out and just act like it never happened. And so I do appreciate that. And I like that she didn't give herself a bunch of pre-credit for how brave it was that she admitted she was wrong, like Sean does. So this was the aforementioned debate they had over the term fascist.
So when Debbie Dingell says he's going to start internment camps, he never said that. That is not helpful. On that, you're 100% right. Because once she says something that he didn't say, then not only the right wing, but independents will discount every other thing you've said. Not just every other thing you've said, but every other thing that anyone on the left has said. He never said internment camps. Don't say that.
And the notion of a fascist, because look, if we're just going to use fascist toward anyone we dislike, all right, then the word doesn't actually mean anything.
Okay, what do you want me to say, Anna? You want me to say wannabe dictator?
Sure, you can say wannabe dictator, but I don't even think he wants to be a dictator.
Of course he does. That's what you do when you lose an election and you go, oh, I got fake electors and I'd like to terminate the Constitution and bring out the tanks and use martial law against American citizens and shoot protesters. I mean, if that's not fascist, then I guess the word just shouldn't exist.
But was he able to do those things?
First of all, his entire cabinet had to threaten, not cabinet, administration, his White House team had to say, we're all going to mass resign if you roll out tanks against American citizens.
Okay, so if you think he's a fascist, wouldn't that justify taking physical action against him?
No, because that doesn't help. That devolves us further into fascism.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a difference between somebody shooting someone, that's fascism, and saying, I disagree with them. Don't elect a fascist prick who says only white people are awesome and everybody else is garbage and should be banned. No, look, I'm not going to take a chance with a monster like that.
I know you're focusing on whether or not you're going to vote for him. I don't give a damn about that. And that's not what I'm asking you about, Cenk. I don't think that this rhetoric, especially from elected members of Congress, is helpful at a time.
I don't agree.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well, Anna, why do I not agree? Because, so Trump's helpful is rhetoric?
His rhetoric is awful.
Okay, if you don't want to be called fascist, stop saying fascist things. It's not that hard.
Okay.
Not that hard. Oh, here, let me have dinner with Nick Fuentes, who's a Nazi, Kanye, who's a Nazi, and let me say there's good people on the Nazi side. Oh, it could be pro-Confederate guys. Might be guys who are pro-slavery who are good guys. Let me do all of these things. Let me say that immigrants are poisoning the blood of our nation, a Nazi term that is only used in the past by Nazis, and then say I'm going to ban Muslims, I'm going to do this and this and this to all the other ethnic groups, and then go, oh, I can't believe you called me a fascist. No, he is a fascist.
So I would say that was quote unquote cooking. That's how I would classify that. That was a pretty darn good rant. It was. And that's why I think Anna kind of at that point in the conversation disengaged, because you hear it a lot. Like if you can't hear me use the term fascist or authoritarian and not go, but Trump doesn't have a mustache, then that's you. That's on you. I'm not. Every single authoritarian or fashy-wash is not the same and is not the same badness. But to all of Jeng's points, it's like, if you don't like being called that, even if some of us, for rhetorically strategic reasons, stay away from a particular term here or there, if you don't want to be called that set of terms under the same umbrella, then don't do the things that fit so well under that umbrella. And so then she apologized for downplaying it. And listen, now we got 2 Kasparian dubs back to back. And so I do just want to credit, because I know I correctly gave her a hard time frequently. But not only did she just admit when she was wrong about Trump, she also created this series of moments with the right-wing influencer Pearl when they were debating about gender-related things.
Are you just making things up? No. Pearl, what are you doing? Like, seriously. Next question.
Point is, she literally silenced her in the debate. Like, Pearl just went quiet and failed to debate. So, hey, credit where it is due, I think is the phrase.